You're listening to The Bird Bath. This episode of The Bird Bath is brought to you by Heart+Paw. If you handle international health certificates, you know the headache. Different country rules, complicated timelines, and endless client questions. Heart+Paw software is built to cut through all of that. Your team gets clear guidance on every requirement, and clients get a step-by-step view so they always know where things stand. Gain confidence with automatic validation at every step, with real support from Heart+Paw's expert team when you need it. Pet travel doesn't have to be stressful. Visit Heartpaw.com, that's PASSPAW.com, and use code BIRDBATH for a special offer. Welcome back to The Bird Bath. Each week we scrape the surface of the news you need to know, so let's get into it. This week is all about VC. We have been inundated this past week with a ton of stories around people looking to invest in the animal health world, and also one story about what else it means there. But to start us off, Anterra Capital has closed $100 million on their Fund 3 with a target of $200 million total. The business is heavily focused on food and agriculture systems with a very heavy animal health and AI tilt. Now, the one thing that I found really interesting while looking at this was that Anterra Capital doesn't want to just have people benchmarking their success as their success in the animal health space or in the ag tech space, but they want people to be thinking about them on the same level with all other VCs. Now, their current fund is a big milestone of $100 million, but it was a major investment drop from the craziness that they saw in their last fund, Fund 2, during 2021-2022, which was well oversubscribed. The environment was kind of crazy at that time, and people were throwing a ton of money into everything from animal health as well as a ton of alternative meat businesses. Now, Anterra's portfolio includes multiple startups that focus on feed animals and the way that the different technologies are going to be able to play in that space. The intention for what they're looking to do here is continue on with some of the previous investors, the investors which they did not name all of the ones here, but Rabobank, which spun out from Anterra in 2023, Novo Holdings, and Zoetis are all among the existing investors. So this is a place where we're seeing big name legacy businesses reinvesting and sticking back into the space that they're wanting to see continue to grow. From the previous funds, Anterra built out 3 companies in Fund 1, 7 companies in Fund 2, and the goal for Fund 3 here is to make 7 to 10 companies off of this $100 million build here. So lots of things, big time to track down some funding opportunities if you are in the ag tech side of the world. Another company that is stepping into the VC world is Elanco. Elanco Ventures is the newest arm of the big pharmaceutical company. They've announced a $25 million corporate VC platform set to launch late 2026. So a little bit later this year, but there's not that much of this year left. We're halfway through. So we should be seeing some of this business start to come. They're going to be focusing on pre-seed to Series A businesses with a slant towards therapeutics and supportive technology. Now, if you remember, Elanco opened up their new One Health Innovation District, Indianapolis, alongside Purdue. And the goal here is to take some of these new businesses that can be really successful in the animal health world and also allow them to expand across the entire One Health ecosystem. So they brought in a very well-seasoned VC, Eric Steger, to lead up the division. And I think it's one that we'll start to see some big things. We've seen other companies, like we just talked about Zoetis with their investment through Anterra. We have obviously talked about and will talk about more in this episode. Merck investing in the space. Mars does a ton of things alongside some of the other ones. So it's not one that is a new idea, but it is cool to see Elanco stepping up and joining the big VC play. One place where we're seeing some of this capital actually flowing out into businesses is with Rejuvenate Bio. They're a biotech company developing gene therapies for age-related and chronic diseases. A couple weeks ago, they announced the closing of a $6 million financing round led by V Capital with participation from Merck Animal Health, Kendall Capital Partners, Connecticut Innovations, and Digitalis. So big names for a lot of people that see stuff in the animal health space. And the other big thing that happened in this deal was that Rejuvenate Bio and Merck have announced a strategic research and development collaboration focused on advancing their novel gene therapy program in animal health. The CEO and co-founder Daniel Oliver of Rejuvenate Bio said, "We believe gene therapy has the potential to fundamentally transform the treatment of chronic and age-related conditions." So this is big stuff. This is where we're thinking people are wanting to make these types of investments. We talked about $100 million in the first story, $25 million with Elanco just to start off their VC journey, and now money going into longevity. Now, it's a big hot topic word, and the word that we're going to carry through the next part of the story here is not just longevity, but health span versus lifespan. A company tying the difference between health span and lifespan into real numbers is Royal Canin. Now, Royal Canin put out a new global research alongside, obviously, their parent company, Mars, and they showed a real disconnect in how owners understand their pets aging. Over a third of the pet owners that were surveyed believe nothing can be done about pet aging, while over half of those avoid thinking or talking about their pet's aging because it feels too sad. I hear you. It's super sad. You know, I lost my best friend last year, and we're savoring the time we have with our other golden right now. And it's one of those things that are really tough. And it's not something a lot of people like to think about. But even though people are thinking of not wanting to think about age, 74% of people are buying gifts for their pets' birthdays. But the problem is not a lot of this is translated into what Royal Canin wants to talk about, which is early action. They're talking about the idea here that your pet's health span is more important than their lifespan. And that's kind of the thing that we've talked about with a lot of these longevity businesses. People were talking about extending lifespan or increasing longevity. But I think the flip of the term here has been moving to people trying to improve and increase the health span of pets. The Royal Canin study really sat down and talked quite a bit about how a lot of the pandemic pets are now reaching this big 6-7 year time frame. And it's one of those times where a lot of the aging begins to develop at a cellular level. And the idea is that this is when you need to be actively worrying about and taking care of the health span of your pet. In the report, Royal Canin said that while aging itself is inevitable, how pets age is increasingly understood to be influenced by factors such as nutrition, regulation of body weight, exercise, and regular monitoring with early intervention. Dr. Tanya Schumann, who's veterinary specialist physician and Royal Canin feline health specialist, said, "We now understand that our pet's aging begins much earlier than many of us expect, often during midlife when cats and dogs still seem healthy and full of energy. This stage offers a valuable opportunity to take simple, proactive steps that can support long-term well-being." So, great study here, probably eye-opening numbers, and maybe for people in practice that are listening, it's an important sort of call to action for the pet owners that are in your practices, and let them know, hey, when your dog turns 5, when your dog turns 6, when your cat's getting a little older, now is the time to start thinking about their wellness, their health, their nutrition, and not just when they start to see mobility issues or difficulty with that health span. A company that's thinking maybe about the health span. I'm really tying these stories together. I'm going to give myself a pat on the back. That was right. That was me patting myself on the back. Heart+Paw. Heart+Paw has released their new care plans, and the intention here is for it to be a very personalized preventative care opportunity. So not one size fits all plans, but something that is designed to really work with the history of the pet, what the veterinarians are seeing hands-on, as well as staying on top of what's needed as these pets age. So In the release here, Dr. Mary Peacock, who's Heart+Paw's chief veterinary officer, said, "We believe preventative care should be personalized, transparent, and designed to support healthier pets, not bundled around unnecessary services." So in the release, they talked about some of the things that were different about what they're doing here. And they said it's fully personalized preventative care based on each pet's age, lifestyle, and medical history. They say it's flexible plans designed to allow services to be added or removed as needed, 10% discount on dental services, including extractions, free unlimited technician visits, free 24/7 teletriage support, no enrollment or annual fee, and additional needs-based customization. So this is, guys, I feel like I'm killing it this week. And this is tying it all together, right? One Health, talking about wellness, talking about longevity and Healthspan, and how we're seeing a decrease of people bringing their animals into the clinic and that the costs are an issue. And Heart+Paw seems to have really stepped up in a cool way here to bring a more customized and personalized way for people to be able to get that care that they're looking for their pets. So very interested to see where this goes and interested to see how this adapts with other groups that are taking on wellness plans or membership models or care plans or whatever the term you want to find to encourage people to bring their pets in more frequently. Now, finally, the counterweight story to this, right? We're talking about people putting money into VC and really trying to find a way to increase the opportunities. Well, one company that is not doing that anymore is PayPal Ventures. PayPal Ventures is taking a break. They put out a statement saying that they are shuttering their PayPal Ventures studio here. And a spokesperson said, as part of our continued effort to sharpen our focus, we're exploring strategic options for our corporate venture arms. That's corporate talk for Axe. So PayPal Ventures made more than 80 investments. They did a lot of things in the crypto, fintech infrastructure space. They were one of the big funders behind Plaid. They raised over $850 million across their 3 funds. And there's a few employees still there, but it's one of those things that seems as if they are taking a step back from it. Now, it's clear the company's wanting to look at some different stuff, right? We're seeing that every company, heck, even Allbirds, reposition themselves as an AI business. And the idea here is to offload some of their venture holdings. They've hired Jefferies to help with the task of selling off some of these businesses or their investments in these businesses. And the other big thing is that this is one of those sort of stories that's not specifically animal health, but it's one that does kind of make sense. If a very successful Elon Musk-backed early stage fintech company is starting to sort of pull back on how they want to invest the money, then where are we seeing this money flowing to differently? Obviously, PayPal doesn't fund all of this exclusively, but it is something that they are kind of this catalyst for some of the fintech growth. So changes in the fintech world, but lots of great investments happening in animal health. And if you want to learn more on these and other stories, join us by subscribing to our Substack. There's always a link in the bio. And don't miss out on any episodes by subscribing and rating the show. For the Bird Bath, I'm Ryan Leach. See you next week.